Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, today we'll be doing chapter 1, Observing the Armies. Slok 1.24. Slok number 24 of the first chapter. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Ukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayor Abhayor Madhye Stapitva Ratho Uttamam. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Ukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayor Abhayor Madhye Stapitva Ratha Uttamam. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Ukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Stapitva Ratha Uttamam. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Ukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Stapitva Ratha Uttamam. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Ukto Rishikesho Stapitva Ratha Uttamam. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Ukto Evam Ukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senaya Upayor Madhye Stapitva Ratha Uttamam. Okay, word for word translation. Sanjay Uvacha, Sanjay said, Evam, it's not working? It will take time. Yeah, it will take time. Okay. Evam, thus, Ukta, addressed, Rishikesh, Lord Krishna, Gudakeshena, by Arjun, Bharata, O descendant of Bharat, Senayo of the armies, Ubayog, both, Madhye, in the midst, Stapitva, placing, Ratha Uttamam, the finest chariot. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Please repeat after me. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesha. Gudake means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gudakesha. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjuna conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment, because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or samadhi. As Rishikesh, or the director of the senses and the mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so and spoke as follows. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalparubhyasya Kripa Sindhabhyo Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Okay, like we had explained, we started the first slok by Dhritarashtra, then 10 sloks describing the army, and another 10 sloks explaining what the signs of success for the Pandava army is. And then this, the conch shells were blown and the war was about to begin. And at that time, Arjuna requested, or basically even told Lord Krishna to take the chariot in between the two armies. So, sloks 21, 22, and 23 is what Arjuna is saying. Now, this slok of 24, it starts off with Sanjaya Vacha. So, now Sanjay is giving his view of what transpired between Arjuna and Lord Krishna. So he said, "O descendant of Bharata." So Sanjaya said, "O descendant of Bharata." So whom does Bharata refer to? You know, in other places of the Gita, in a couple of places, it has said descendant of Bharata. But at that time, it was supposed to mean to Arjun. But in this particular case, it is referring to Dhritarashtra because Sanjay is speaking. Sanjay was not on the battlefield. He was possibly in a palace with Dhritarashtra. So he is talking to Dhritarashtra and saying, "O descendant of Bharata." Now his mood is to be established. He is talking about to remind Dhritarashtra that he comes from a very lineage of very great fighters and good rulers in the past. And even he is part of that. He is the current king and he should be very fair in his dealing. And what he is about to do and what he is doing is very, very unfair to the Pandavas. So this is just to make him aware. How far he succeeds is beside the point, but this is his intention. So he is starting his conversation with Dhritarashtra saying, "O descendant of Bharat." So it refers to Dhritarashtra. Sanjay was speaking to Dhritarashtra, and so, "O descendant of Bharata" refers to Dhritarashtra. All kings of Bharat, past and present, are referred to as Bharata. So it is not a particular name for one king. Bharat actually means the king. Sanjay is trying to say to Dhritarashtra that the king comes from a very great lineage and what he is doing is very unfair to the Pandavas. So this already sets the mood that what you are doing is totally unfair. Then we proceed in the slok. The first very line of the purport, it says, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesh. One meaning of Gudakesh refers to a person who has got Guda or very curly hair. The Kesh means hair. So Guda Kesh means very curly hair. So in the battlefield, it refers to both Krishna. Krishna had very curly hair, and it also refers to Arjuna because he also had a curly hair. But that is not the meaning to be taken of Gudakesh at this point in time. Here it is used for a person who has conquered sleep. Sleep also includes laziness and ignorance. So a person who has conquered sleep, ignorance, laziness is called Gudakesh. And Arjuna is such a person. Story of Arjuna is that he heard Bhima eating in the dark. This got Arjuna thinking that even in the dark, the food goes in the mouth and not anywhere else. Even if you try it, if you're sitting with the lights going off, if you're eating something, the food will go from your hand to your mouth only. It doesn't go into your eyes or your ears or anywhere. That comes because you are focused, you are determined, and practice. So the thing which Arjuna took out of this experience was that there needs to be constant practice and determination. This led Arjuna to practice archery in the dark and at odd hours of the night. He said, I should be able to carry out my archery thing even without looking at where my bow is, where my arrows are. I should be that much qualified to do so. So he would practice in complete darkness. So he had to control his sleep. He had to wake up at certain time and he would make sure that he got up at that time. So in order to practice. So he was managing to control the sleep. Sleep is also a sign of tamogun, and Arjun was able to have full control over tamogun. In Bhagavad Gita 10:20, the Lord describes Arjuna as Gudakesh. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Godhead manifests himself in the material and spiritual worlds. Because Arjuna is above such darkness, the personality of Godhead agrees to describe his various opulences. So a person has to come out from darkness or from sleep or ignorance, and then you'll be able to understand Krishna. Another story is of Lakshman. In order to protect Ram, he could not afford to sleep. Lakshman was the younger brother of Ram, and he would accompany and look after him for throughout. But he would be attacked even in the middle of the night. So he said, I don't want to sleep. So he went over to goddess Nidra for help. She agreed that, okay, I will make sure that you don't go to sleep. But in return, I want someone else to sleep on your behalf. So who would want to sleep there? So his wife, Urmila, came forward and she slept for 14 years because at that time, all this time, Lakshman was remaining awake. So again, conquering sleepiness is another sign that the word sleep, like I said, doesn't mean just literally sleeping. It means controlling all your thoughts and ignorance and controlling them. Buddhakesh does not mean that the person does not sleep, but that person is always wakeful in his performance of, in his purpose of performing devotional service in this world. So, though it is called sleeping, he's always so wakeful. In Bhagavad Gita 2.69, what is night for all beings is a time for awakening for the self-control, and the time for all beings is night for the introspective sage. One class is intelligent in material activities for sense gratification, and the other class is awake to the cultivation of self-realization. So this is covered in 2.69. In Bhagavad Gita 10.11, Bhagavan says, to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So all we can see that Arjuna was very qualified. He was a very good friend of Krishna. He was a great devotee, and he was blessed by being able to control the tamagun or the ignorance. Now it says in this slok that he was giving orders to Lord Krishna. But the name Lord Krishna does not apply in this sense, but it is used as Rishikesh. Arjuna was giving instructions to Rishikesh, meaning Lord Krishna. Rishikesh means controller or director of all senses and the mind. In Bhagavad Gita 1.15, Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesh in this verse because he's the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of living entities are also part and parcel of his senses. Since we are part of the Krishna, we are part and parcel of Krishna, our senses are also his senses. So he sees through us. Right? As Rishikesh, Krishna could understand Arjun's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. So when he was instructed, place the chariot, the Rath, in between the armies, that's what he precisely did. A devotee of Krishna who cannot forget Krishna even for a moment can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is referred to as Krishna consciousness. That is what we have been stressing throughout the Iskcon movement. Krishna consciousness is to be able to perform our devotional service in trying to make sure that you never forget Krishna. You always remember Krishna. This is referred to as Krishna consciousness or samadhi. A devotee can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, quality, pastimes. All of these are non-different from Krishna himself. So any one of them is as good as Krishna. Right? Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. So even we are able to rise above from the Tama level and proceed to the Satya, the highest level of goodness. Okay. Now, the last point which is mentioned here is regarding that the Rath was drew up the fine Rath in the midst of the armies of both parties. It was Ratho Uttamam. In Bhagavad Gita 1.21, Arjuna instructed Lord Krishna to draw the chariot between the two armies. The chariot has been described as Ratho Uttamam, which is topmost. It did not come from an ordinary people on this earth. It came from a demigod, Agni-Dev. Agni-Dev presented that Rath to Arjuna. This chariot had been presented by Agni-Dev. Hanumanji was present on the flag of the chariot. So he was also part, and that increased the value of the Rath, of the chariot. Just by Krishna being on it makes it Uttamam as well. If I go on it or you go on it, it may not have that value. But when Krishna is on the Rath, the value of the Rath increases. For some people, the post makes the person great. For some people, the post makes the person great. Let's say the president is here. Now, president may be anyone. In this case, we have Ruto at the moment, but any president who is there. But his importance is still he is the president. So the post is important. He is secondary in that sense. But when it comes to Krishna, the post becomes greater because Krishna is there. Right? So that has to be understood. This was the same chariot. Now, the whole Gita was spoken on the chariot. So it makes it Uttamam. The whole Gita was there. So in Bhagavad Gita 1.23, it says, "Let me see who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra." We had done that sloka very recently. Durbuddha. Yeah? But in Bhagavad Gita 1.28, Arjuna said, to the same Duryodhana, he says, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives before me in such a fighting spirit." So here he was saying is evil-minded. He's already turned into a friend in 3-4 slokas down the line. That just shows how much the mind is controlled, how much the mind dictates, so you should be able to control your mind. From this, we can see the effect of misplaced compassion and a perfect reason for the presentation of Bhagavad Gita. And this is exactly what Bhagavan wanted. He said he brought the Rath in front of Bhishma Pita and Dronacharya. He knew that if he had brought it in front of Duryodhana and Dusasan or someone, Arjuna would have got angry and he would have insisted on fighting immediately because the skunk had gone. But when the time had come to fight with Bhishma at a later stage, he would have backed out because he would not have been able to take that love or that attachment which he had. So this, the whole purpose, was to put it in front of Dronacharya and Bhishmapita to make him realize at this point in time and make him very confused and make him think about what he's about to do. The story goes that during the war, Krishna would get off the chariot first and then followed by Arjuna. But on the last day of the war, Arjuna was asked to get off first and then Krishna followed. So all this 70, the war lasted 18 days. So all 17 days or something, Arjuna would get off, he would be given a hand, I guess he would, and Arjuna would come and then Krishna would come. Sorry, is that right? Yeah. And then on the last day, he told Arjuna to get off first and then Krishna followed. Now the reason is, and he was about to question why the change? Why what we've been doing is not done now? And then the chariot exploded. It caught fire and it was finished of the chariot. This chariot was protected by Krishna and Hanumanji for all these days. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed a long time back. So these are basically some of the points which are of this verse, that the Sanjaya spoke to Dhritarashtra, described him as descendant of Bharata, explained what the term Buddhakesha is, explained the term called Rishikesha is, and described the things about the Uttapam, Ratha Uttapam. So this is it. And I think I end the class here. Are there any questions on it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. Granth Raj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.